we're trying to pick up some of the things we didn't do the last
last time we were here, and we opened up the third door. Last time we spoke, if you remember, we spoke about this code when you look at when Moses gave the law of the Jubilee, and he says, you shall return. In that word, you shall return, is a code that actually comes out to, in Hebrew, 1948, which is the year that Israel returns. I mean, maybe we saw some of that, and we saw so we won't do that, but I'll share some of the things I didn't share, okay? But first, to set the stage of what's the next door. Well, this one, we touched on it, but this. The guy we have to speak of is the guy named THEODORE HERZL. THEODORE HERZL, talk about an unlikely guy. He was a playwright. That's him. He was a playwright. He was a secular Jew who didn't, he was trying to assimilate and kind of join in everything, but he saw that it wasn't going to work. And so he suddenly got this thing that he just like a revelation, the Jewish people need to go back to their homeland. Now, he's not religious. He doesn't know it's even in the Bible necessarily. He doesn't know it's all prophesied, but that's how God uses it. And the interesting thing, if you remember, that in the same year when the revelation comes to him, he's in Paris. He meets a guy in Paris who he becomes friends with, another writer, and you know who it is? It's Mark Twain, the stranger. Oh. They become friends. And they become friends. They were in the same city. At the moment that the revelation of Israel is coming, the man, Mark Twain, who said it's impossible, it's hopeless, it'll never happen again, it's gone, God puts him in touch. He does it with the guy. They become friends because they're writers with THEODORE HERZL, who's going to become the father of Israel, the rebirth of Israel, when the revelation is coming. I mean, how all God weaves it all together.
Oh, my land.
So HERZL, but what people don't know, HERZL is considered the father or the visionary. That's why you'll see pictures in Israel. You'll see him. You'll see this guy with a long black beard. And the thing is, he labored. He suddenly got this vision, and he started saying, we got to go back. We got to go back. He traveled to the Jewish people in Europe and said, come back, come back. And the thing is that, and finally he died. Well, first of all, he gathered together the first Congress of Zionism. Now, they had no state. They had nothing. It was all by faith. They put up a flag. There was no state. They had a national anthem with no nation. It was all by faith. That's a picture of that first Zionist Congress. And so he does it, and he labors for the rest of his life, but then he labors so much that he dies at the age of 44. Okay? So he's gone. Now, the thing is, but before he died, he had a secret. And he tells the secret to somebody as he's dying, or he's going to die. And the secret is this. When he was a kid, he had a dream. And the dream was he saw the Messiah. And the Messiah said in the dream, this child I've appointed to prepare the way for my people for my coming. To prepare my people for my coming. Now, what did Jesus say? I'm not coming back until the Jewish people say, blessed is he. Where? In Israel. So here he sees, the guy who's the father of Israel, people don't know it. Actually, it all begins with a dream of the Messiah saying, prepare my way because I'm coming.
Wow.
So he dies. Now, before he dies, he writes a prophecy. The prophecy he writes in his journal, he says, today the Jewish state was founded, but the whole world would laugh. If it was right after the Congress. The whole world's going to laugh if we say it out loud, but the whole world shall know it in 50 years' time. Jubilee, Jubilee, Jubilee. So what happens? Now I touch on one thing. I'm going to share another thing about this. But when did he say it? He said it in the year he wrote it in the 1897. Add 50 years, it takes you to the year 1947, the year that Israel is voted back into the world, in the United Nations, and the whole world for the first time knows it within 50 years, just like he said. But not only that, when I looked at the date that the UN received the plan that would bring Israel back, they would vote on it. When they received the plan has a date stamped on the top of it. The date is September 3rd, which, by the way, was the release date of the Oracle. We didn't plan it that way, but it just happened to be. The September 3rd, 1947. I look back at the journal of THEODORE HERZL. He wrote the prophecy on September 3rd, 1897. It was exactly 50 years to the very day. The exact day that he gave the prophecy.
Wow.
But not only that, But there's another date,
Oh, my.
because before he wrote the prophecy, you have that first Congress. The first Congress, at the last day, they sealed everything. They said, okay, there's going to be a Jewish nation. We're believing for a Jewish nation. They sealed the resolution last day. It was at the very end of August. Go 50 years later, on the UN is when they finished writing the plan for Israel. That's going to bring Israel back. And the date that they finished it is the same 50 years to the exact day that the Zionist Congress passed the resolution that we're going to have in Israel. So everything exactly 50 years. In fact, on that same day across the world from the UN, you have an event which they called the Jubilee of Israel in 1947. It's called the Jubilee celebration because it's 50 years since that Congress said yes to Israel. So they're celebrating the Jubilee. They're literally calling it the Jubilee. The guy who's speaking is Chaim Weizmann, that scientist, he's now there, and he's speaking, and he says, I believe on this day the redemption of the Jewish people is beginning. And at that day, across the world, the United Nations finished the resolution that was going to bring Israel back into the world on the same day as the Jubilee. So here is another Jubilee that's going to be linked to the birth of Israel.